All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Detroit Lions in today's video. So the NFL officially released schedules for everybody earlier this past week. And while Detroit won the NFC North and they made it to the conference championship game, we knew it was going to be a more difficult schedule than it was, say, last year. They do technically have a top 10 strength of schedule or opponent strength of schedule heading into this year. Take that with a grain of salt because teams get worse, teams get better, players get worse, players get better, players get injured, players stay healthy. Like, you know the deal here. So take it with a grain of salt. There are some difficult matchups. You started off at home against the Los Angeles Rams. You've got a prime timer against the Houston Texans in the middle of the season. You hit the road for Dallas. You play San Francisco on the road at the end of the year. Before about a month away from the start of the playoffs, you are at home against Buffalo, but it doesn't scare me in the slightest. And the Detroit, not that this even matters that much, the Detroit Lions, 14 of their first 15 games are in a dome. And the reason that's important is just because Jared Goff in a dome is like an elite level quarterback. He's got a passer rating of 99 inside. Outside, it only goes down to 89. Completion percentage in a dome, 67.5. Completion percentage out of a dome, 62. So it's like Jared Goff is an above average quarterback when he's not at home, i.e. when he's playing out of a dome, but he's literally an elite level quarterback when he's playing inside. So welcome back to the channel. We're talking about the Detroit Lions in today's video, but before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content, along with a bunch of Lions videos every single week. Lions fans love and appreciate you guys. As always, I'm going to try and get this video to 250 likes. That would mean the absolute world to me. So we'll talk about the team in just a second here. A little disappointed. There's, the Thanksgiving against the Bears is awesome, but as a Packers fan, I would prefer it to be like last year. Neither here nor there. Detroit is going to win probably at least over 11 games. I'm not worried about, I'm not like even really going through this schedule thinking, oh, they're going to win against the Rams, and they're going to win against Tampa, they're going to win against Arizona, they're going to win against Seattle, and then you're heading after your bye week 4-0 headed to Dallas. Detroit, it's the same as last year, man. They're going to win, and they can win anywhere between 10 and 14 games. And the fact that I've seen them last year win 13 freaking games, or 12 games, sorry, and I've seen them just win playoff games and, hold their own against the San Francisco 49ers. Like, they could win 10 games or they could win 14 games. At the end of the day, folks, it really doesn't matter. What matters is going to be the defense, because I've seen it from Jared Goff retaining Ben Johnson. We said it when they retained him, but we'll say it this time next year. It was probably the biggest move of the entire offseason. And Detroit certainly didn't have a quiet offseason. You picked up Marcus Davenport, you traded for Carlton Davis, you signed DJ Reader, you picked up Kevin Zeitler, you re-signed Michael Badgley, Graham Glasgow, Emmanuel Mosley, DPJ, you drafted Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, a nice tackle. You lost some pieces, some important pieces, but it's not the end of the world. You lost CJ Gardner-Johnson, Jonah Jackson, Benito Jones, Josh Reynolds, Tracy Walker, nobody who wasn't replaceable. That's the good news for Detroit. So, I know they're going to be competitive. I know they're going to be relevant. All it comes down to, folks, is the defense. So Detroit last year ranked 19th in total defense, but obviously they had the third rated offense with the league's second ranked run defense. So you made the NFC Championship and you nearly got to the Super Bowl here. And I want to talk about DPJ actually in just a second, because we just said his name and we don't say his name too much on this channel. But it's going to come down to the defense. They were very much like Philadelphia, where, once again, they had the second best rush defense. It was a horrible pass defense. And it's a very young group, but I think trading for Carlton Davis is a huge upgrade immediately from Cam Sutton. I was excited for Cam Sutton to be cornerback number 2, and then they drafted Terrion Arnold. So Terrion Arnold, in my opinion, is going to have a very similar rookie season to Brian Branch. And by the way, you still have Brian Branch, who's entering year 2. You improved your pass rush with Marcus Davenport and DJ Reader. You got better with the rush defense. I'm looking at this defensive line just on paper. The starters would be Marcus Davenport, DJ Reader, Ali McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson. Great linebacker room with Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell. And then the secondary, Carlton Davis, Melifanu, Kirby Joseph, Terrion Arnold, Brian Branch. And then obviously you picked up guys like like Amik Robertson. You drafted Ennis Rakestraw Jr. You re-signed Emmanuel Mosley, who played like, what was it, 3 snaps last year for Detroit. So I'm not concerned about the secondary. I do think they'll have some bad games. Like every defense, every secondary will certainly have some bad games. But I think actually, when I was looking at the schedule, it kind of reminded me of Kansas City 2 years ago before they won their first Super Bowl, or their first Super Bowl post Tyreek Hill, where they just had this kind of revamped defense and a very, very young secondary. And everybody was kind of concerned with the secondary, not in the sense of like, oh, they didn't hit on their draft picks or they signed the wrong dudes. It was more of like, damn, these dudes are like really young. Can they step up to the plate in the playoffs and get the job done? I think it will be a similar regular season discourse, if that makes any sense, because Terran Arnold's a rookie. Carlton Davis coming on over, learning a new scheme, playing with new players, but immediately, he's a veteran. He'll be a day one contributor. That's why you freaking traded for him. But Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Melifonwu, a little bit young, but they've got a couple of years of experience now. And then Terran Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw Jr., just young. They're rookies, so they're going to make mistakes and they're going to have bad games and they're going to have bad stretches. It is what it is. But the point is, by the end of the year, you want that defense fully clicking. But more importantly, with Detroit, I really just want a healthy team. And I think Detroit got really lucky last year, or they, really good flip of the coin last year, staying healthy. Key contributors being healthy. Guys are going to get banged up. But moving on to the offense, they've had a top 5 offense for the last 2 seasons. And once again, just retaining Ben Johnson is a huge freaking deal. Dan Campbell said it himself after the loss in the NFC Championship game. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to replicate this, because it's not because of the talent on the roster. It's just because of how the NFL works. You lose coordinators, you gain coordinators, dudes get hurt, you bring in new players, you lose new players. It's an uncertain future. And so I think getting Aaron Glenn and getting, obviously Ben Johnson back is just absolutely huge. But offensively, I mean, there's no hole here. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, the best running back duo in the National Football League. He got Jared Goff, undisputed, a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I think even though he technically didn't lead them to the Super Bowl last year, I think it's very clear. I think it's very evident that Jared Goff can lead, as he's done in the past, but he can lead your team to the promised land and he can win that football game. And so, just looking at that schedule, 14 to 15 games in a dome, I just got a feeling Detroit's probably going to go 12-5 again. And if they can just stay healthy at key positions, and if guys like Jameson Williams offensively can take that leap, the wide receiver room has been a position all offseason that I've looked at, and I'm a little bit wary of it, just because, imagine if Amon-Ra St. Brown gets injured, hamstring injury or whatever, misses 4 games in the middle of the season. It's just rather unideal. But that's why you do have Jahmyr Gibbs. That's why you have Sam Laporta, who just had a career historical rookie season as a tight end. He's only going to get better. He's already pretty much established himself as a star tight end in the NFL. You picked up Kevin Zeitler to, remain secure with your great, consistent, reliable offensive line. And if just like one of these wide receivers can step up, not in the sense of like replace Josh Reynolds, but even just go above and beyond. Amon-Ra St. Brown's a star. He's a star wide receiver. He's a Pro Bowl caliber wide receiver. That's a given. But if Jameson Williams can give me any type of season with like 50 catches for 850 yards and 6 or 7 touchdowns, Detroit's improving offensively. You still have Khalif Raymond. I love Antoine Green. I'm hoping he gets, kind of more opportunities this upcoming year. But as we mentioned earlier on in the video, DPJ is so intriguing to me because, they picked him up at the trade deadline. And in his last full year with the Cleveland Browns, he had 833 receiving yards. If DPJ can pretty much replace what Josh Reynolds gave me last year, which I think, if we go off of his last full season with Cleveland, once again, 839 receiving yards, this Detroit Lions offense is going to be almost unbeatable. And the offense is good enough that even if the defense statistically, eye test wise, didn't improve, you obviously don't want to play the Detroit Lions. But yeah, man, I don't have any concerns about the young secondary. And I certainly don't have any concerns with the defense or the offense, really, really so the offense. I don't have any concerns offensively. So the schedule really didn't matter to me. But let me know what you guys are thinking. Hit that like button, hit that sub button as always. But give me a win-loss projection record on paper as it stands right now. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll get another Lions video out to you guys sooner rather than later. So thank you for watching. Peace.